Okay, are y'all ready? I'm so excited. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I think we've got some people in the waiting room joining us. Welcome to Wildlife Conversations. I'm Jen Ritchie, your host. Please say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're listening from. Let's see. Let's see if people are joining us. Yes, people are joining us. Hi, everybody. I see some familiar names. Hi. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Carl. Hi, Chris. Clint. I see some people that have gone on tour with our guests tonight. That is so fun. It's very exciting. I just got some messages this week from Leanne Green and Phoebe Carnes, and they were saying how Wildlife Conversations feels like you're just in the same room chit-chatting and like photography nerds geeking out. And so that is the theme I want. That is the feel I want. And so I'm going to just do a couple calendar reminders really quick before we start, and then we're going to get to our very talented guests tonight. But the first thing is we have Tracy Sepkovic coming on December 17th. And I think she did a tour with our guests, and she's a great photographer. So please mark your calendar for that. And then also many of you expressed interest in doing an editing course with Steve Mathis based on our podcast this month. And I am excited to announce that he is going to do a editing course live with me. And that will be December 15th at 4 p.m. It is $15 to register, which is so much cheaper than doing a private workshop or doing a private call. So I really hope you all will join me because I think it's going to be really, really good with Steve. But I am so excited tonight to welcome our team, the Alaska Bear Camps team, gang, Scott Stone, Jackie Stone, Cassie Noel. Is it Noel or Noel?
Yes, Noel.
No, Cassie Noel and Josh Gesmundo. Is that right, Josh?
Almost.
Say it, Josh. Say it for me. Well, Josh, welcome. I'm so glad to have you guys. I was just telling them that my Alaska trip this summer kind of spurred this podcast because Maureen Matson and Jenny Cannon and I met in Anchorage right after we all did a week. And we just were wanting to hear more and more from people who had been in Alaska, different ways to see Alaska. And of course, we wanted to share more voices from this genre. If you are in wildlife photography and you're on Instagram, then you have seen their faces a lot. And I think we all just wanted to jump on a plane and go to Alaska to see you all and be with you all. So welcome to Wildlife Conversations. I'm so glad to have you all.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, I think it's going to be a good discussion. We've got a lot of questions, and hopefully we'll do some question and answer at the end. So Scott, I think you and I have been following each other for like 4 years.
Yeah.
I've been watching your work and watching you sort of evolve. You were first doing like day trips, and then in the last year or so, you've sort of transitioned into these longer multi-day bear camps. Can you tell us a little bit? We're going to go in your background and how you got to this, but tell us a little bit about the camps first, because I think everybody's been watching this summer.
The long and short of it is, in 2017, my first full summer in Kodiak.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first year I picked up a camera, February of 2017.
Wow.
I got the bug like everybody else, and everybody had pushed me. They're like, "You're super passionate about bears. You love them. You need to go to Katmai." And I'm like, "Why would I go to Katmai?
Yeah.
I have all these Kodiaks in my backyard." And they finally talked me into it. And I took my dad and my uncle in June of 2017. And then I went 11 more times that summer.
Oh my goodness.
And at the end of the summer, Dean Andrew, I went with Andrews primarily. Dean said, "Why don't you just work for me instead of paying me all the time?"
Yeah.
And I thought about it for a while, and probably the biggest thing that I had that's the best experience I've ever had is one of his guides didn't want to guide. He didn't want to be there. It was a summer job, and he was absolutely awful, no passion, didn't want to be there.
Wow.
And I knew that if I ever was going to do it, that I'd be the exact opposite of what I had. So
yeah,
I did guide for Dean.
Mm-hmm.
2018, 19, and then COVID happened,
Yes.
and went as a client with Island Air after they bought Dean's Bear Viewing side, and then I worked for Island Air in 21 and 22. And with my Coast Guard jobs I was running, I'd only do weekends or when I could.
Mm-hmm.
But in 21, we had a lot of bear views, 45 different bear views,
Wow.
and they were all my doing, right?
Yeah.
Um, with different clients and whatnot. And then um, after Jackie and I after Jackie and I got back together in February of 22, we had always talked about doing something that we were both passionate about, and my Coast Guard contracts kind of came to a head,
Yeah.
and the company I was working for wasn't awarded one, and it opened the door for the camps, and we talked about it, and we just said, let's just do it, see how it goes.
Yeah.
And the main thing is, just like you talked about your experience, the main thing is, even for me when I was guiding all those day trips,
Mm-hmm.
the flying gets old when you do it every day.
Yeah.
You miss all the good light.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really good service providers in and out of Katmai for day trips, but the long and short of it is you're there when the light's bad. The
Right.
beauty of camp is, number one, you're there 24/7. You can shoot from 5 in the morning to 2 in the morning if you can stay up that late. Most of our days are 7 to about midnight or even a little bit later. It just depends. But
Wow.
that's kind of how camp came about.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, like anything in business, you want to fill a void or a niche that there's nothing offered in. And there's only one other camp opportunity, Katmai wise, but it's different price range. It's
Mm-hmm.
important to us to keep the cost down to where people can still buy a ticket up from the lower 48 and still have the experience. So
Yeah.
that's where it started. So basically February, March of 23 is when we started doing the paperwork. So
Yeah, that's amazing how you guys have exploded. I just feel like you were everywhere this summer, and it was just the joy and the passion for bears and for your clients was evident. It just really was.
that's
It
what it's
just
all about.
yeah, and I can
That's
tell.
what
I
it's
can
all about.
tell. Yeah. And so it's multi-day, Scott, and so is it 3 or 4 days or what is it?
So they're 4 day, 3 night,
Okay.
and then like the wolf camp is 6 and 5.
It's a little longer.
Yep, some of the bear camps, the fishing camps are 5 and 4,
Mm-hmm.
5 day, 4 night. This does give me a good chance to talk to Jackie, and I talked about this today. We've talked about it with the team too. Another option that we're looking at, two more actually. One is probably in 2026, we may offer a 3 day, 2 night, which
Mm-hmm.
will be
Mm-hmm.
a lower price range, so it'll open the door for some more people.
Yes.
And the other one is, we all have a lot of loved ones that don't get around well.
Right.
We get asked often, hey, can my folks do this? Can my grandparents do this?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to offer some low impact bear viewing where literally they're not going to have to walk more than 300 yards from camp, and they can sit there and watch a dozen bears move around them throughout the day. And we get to cater to them and meet
That's
these great people
amazing.
that are maybe in their later years,
Yeah.
or even look at maybe some things to do with make a wish,
Yeah.
wounded
Yeah.
warrior, that type of thing. So
Oh,
the
wow.
idea the idea is to get everybody out there to, number one, enjoy them, and two, understand that in the right context they are easily safely viewed. So
Yeah, yeah. And Jackie, what do you all provide to provide the highest quality and to make sure people are safe? It's not just throwing tents out in the middle of the grass, right?
No, no. Um, it's like an honor when people choose to come with us. And I think
Yes.
that's a big thing for us is that there are different options. And so we owe it to our clients to give them the best possible experience.
Mm-hmm.
It might be somebody's bucket list, it might be their first time, their last time, they've saved forever to do this. And so we try to make everybody as comfortable and safe as possible.
Yeah.
A lot of Scott's experience, especially in Katmai with the bears, he's been around them. They all have names. They all have different temperaments, and just the experience that he has over there
Yeah,
and the others on the ground with them can't, you know, that allows us to operate pretty safely. But as far as camp itself, we do have an electric bear fence that's solar powered. It's always on, even when we're not there. And we've never had any issues with that. And also just in camp itself, we do everything we can to keep it clean, because we never want to be the reason that, you know, we're the example where a bear got into our camp
exactly.
because
Right,
we're not
right,
cleaning up after ourselves. So
right.
everything that we do is to keep it very clean and, you
Yeah,
know, the bears out of there.
yeah. And each person gets their own tent?
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, that's
Yes,
nice.
that's something that we've didn't want to deal with, that, you know, some of our friends have gone on trips and had to share tents and it didn't go very well.
Like with strangers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my.
I mean, not everybody is everybody else's cup of tea. So
No, that would be awkward.
yeah, so every person
So
gets
we're
their
really
own
loud.
3-person tent and their own space where they can, you know, keep all their stuff. And
Yeah. I'm so excited on that kind of trip that I don't sleep anyway, so I would just keep people up. So like I just lay there and toss and turn. So that would be bad. So Cassie, tell me a little bit about your background. And I feel like when I read your question, when I send questions out before everybody comes on, and I just felt like all of you, your heart is so for people. And that's what I read with yours too, Cassie. But tell me a little bit about your background. And then how important is it to create that atmosphere and the group dynamics that you guys seem to be creating?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of my educational and work and volunteer background is with working with people and helping people. And so it was really incredible this summer at Bear Camp to really take my passion with working and interacting with people and also meld it with photography and wildlife and the outdoors. And
Yeah.
I've always grown up outside, going to the national parks. Like my parents took us, me and my brother, every summer to the Smoky Mountains. And so I just grew up falling in love with nature and the outdoors and the parks. And my dad always had a camera and a camcorder and was always putting it in my hands. So I've loved photography and capturing that since I was little. And so anyways, when Scott and Jackie asked me to join them this past summer, I had no idea what I was in for, but it completely changed my life. It's been life-changing, spending an entire summer with them, watching what they do and how they do it and how they operate. And Jackie and Scott put so much all year long, not just that summer, but year round. They spend so much time. And it's all about making their guests comfortable. And it's incredible watching them and their heart to really try to make people happy and at ease and comfortable and have an experience of a lifetime. You know, they really put a lot in heart and soul all year long into creating Bear Camp. And, you know, after they're already thinking of the next year, how to make it better for clients. But it's so important because people are traveling from all over the country, all over the world, and they're coming. And some have never been or experienced anything like it before, and they're coming alone. And so we just want people to feel so comfortable and so at home. And it's hard when you travel alone. And also if you're doing something out of your comfort zone. And so we just want everybody to feel immediately like family and feel safe and comfortable. And so it's so important for us, for everybody to just have like a family feel when they're at camp and just walk away.
That comes through. That definitely comes through.
That's like a high priority, I think, for all 5 of how many are there? 4 of us.
You're counting the dogs. We had the dogs on earlier. You're counting the dogs.
But yeah, it is. It's I love people so much, and I love being a part of this team because Jackie and Scott, it's just they have the hugest hearts of anybody I've ever met in my life. And
I see that in the chat too. People are saying that best team ever, best humans ever. Yeah, it's really a compliment to what you guys are doing. Yeah. And so can you feel that group dynamic when you're, you know, walking along? And I see it over social media. So, I mean, I don't know what you're doing, but
yeah, it's kind of crazy. Absolutely. So it's kind of neat because it's crazy that just within 3 to 4 days, you can create this incredible bond with each other and literally feel like family within 4 days. And, you know, every time a group leaves, I mean, we're like hugging and in tears because we're like, feel like our family is leaving, and we've all just bonded, because when you're in that kind of a situation, you just bond so easily. And then a new group is coming and you're so sad to leave, you know, that this group is leaving and total strangers are arriving, but it's the wildest thing that every single time they become a family. And so without a doubt, every single guest we have this summer, we all still stay in touch and we're very close friends. And I love every single one of our guests. And
yeah, that's amazing.
You know, it's just incredible, the relationships that you build and the bond that you get so quickly in such a short amount of time.
Josh and
But
I
definitely think that's because of Scott and Jackie. You know, they've just got, that's their main focus.
Yeah, you have to lead well and create that. Yeah. It's Josh and I were texting earlier because he didn't get the Zoom link, and he said that too, that I have friends all over the United States now, the world, because of these camps. Josh, how did you come to know Scott and Jackie and be part of the team?
Well, you know, I got into photography when I was in college, and found myself really liking wildlife photography. I like, you know, from a young age, I was always into being outdoors, hunting or fishing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the Mecca for me was always Alaska. That's always where I wanted to end up. And before I did my first trip there, I really did my research and took my time. I didn't want to be hasty with where I went or what I did. And I'd been seeing a lot of photos of, you know, the coastal brown bear viewing, and it was something I definitely was interested in. And, you know, I did my research and I found Scott's page on Instagram like 4 years ago. And I messaged him and we talked back and forth for a little bit. And he could tell I was hesitant. You know, it's something that's very unknown, especially coming from Massachusetts.
Yes.
I didn't grow up with a lot of bears around here. And so he could tell I was hesitant. So he was like, "Hey, you gotta call me. You just gotta call me. I gotta talk to you."
Yeah.
And you know, I talked to Scott for the first time for 2.5, 3 hours. And he totally convinced me to get out there. So I took my first trip in 2020 or 2021, and I went out there with Jake Menente, shout out. And we went out there, and Scott just went above and beyond to give us, you know, the best experience possible. And you know, he went overboard for a reason, and it wasn't for money or for like a job. He gave us his basement to stay in because he knew that we were just broke college kids that could barely afford this. And he knew that for the first time he could introduce this to us and make us fall in love with something that, you know, now means so much to us. And after our trip was over, he still had to work. And we ended up being stuck there for a few days in Kodiak. And he was like, hey, he's like, take my truck. And I was like, no, really. He's like, no. And he insisted. No wasn't an answer. And, you know, not only is he now, you know, letting us eat and sleep in his house, but, you know, we're driving around his F-150 all over Kodiak Island, like, you know, a bunch of delinquents. And, you know, and you know, I owe the world to Scott. He opened up my eyes to a lot and introduced me to Alaska properly. And you know, I try to give back a little bit of that to our clients now, you know, and it's cool to be on the other side of things. It's amazing.
Yeah. What have you learned from Scott that you can give back? What do you think? Is there an example?
Just that same sort of, you know, just that same love and passion and, you know, striving to just show people how much it means to me and how amazing it is, you know, that we're able to go out there and do this with animals that are, you know, so fantastic. I mean, it's unreal. Every time we go out, it's sensory overload. You know, I mean, the amount of people I've seen come to tears, including myself.
Aw,
It's really,
yeah.
it's a magical thing out there. Every day that we go out, it's like something new, and it's not always like what you expect. Like you might be going out on a bear view, expecting like an amazing moment with a bear, and you end up with, you know, something completely different, whether it's another animal or, you know, something alone by yourself, you know,
Yeah.
cloud behind a mountain type thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's always something that's making us take a step back and really appreciate what we got.
Yeah. Scott, this has to just be not humbling and joy filled to hear your team talk like this. And you said in your questions, like it's 20 years in the making. I'm going to share a picture, but just tell me a little bit, you know, how you feel like this has evolved, where the love of wildlife started, and then how you evolved to now. I mean, I can see it. You're in your sweet spot, I think.
The evolution is easy. So I owe everything to my dad, right?
Oh, wow.
Um,
Yeah.
my dad's dad died when dad was 17,
Mm-hmm.
and grandpa didn't get the opportunity to go out and do all of these things that we all do, right?
Yeah.
So even as a kid, when my dad took me hunting and fishing every chance we got, it was never about killing anything. It was always about what you could experience. And if you get a, you know, if you get an animal, the season's over type of thing, right? But if you're out every day learning, you know, nature is the best school there is, and it's the
Yeah.
most peaceful place you can be. So
Yeah.
as a kid, I had that instilled in me. And then, you know, as an adult, nature's always been my escape anyway. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's my church.
Absolutely.
So when I got to Katmai after they finally bugged me enough, once you get your first real taste of what the bears can give you, and it's not just the bears, right? I mean, it's everything there. I mean, the Katmai as a whole is truly magical. Once you get to experience that, you want to share that with somebody. And these images you're showing, the fact that Jackie said it best, right? I mean, the fact that we get to do what we love with the person we love. We're the wealthy ones if we never make a dime, right?
Yeah.
We always say that it is way more about sharing this than it ever is about us making any money.
Yeah.
If if as a team we get to like a brain network, right? I mean, if we get to touch two or three lives and they touch somebody else's, you know, like Cassie's talking about people flying in from wherever. Our friend Rebecca from Germany, we love Rebecca, right? She doesn't want to carry everything to camp. So the fact that everything is provided in camp, these people can literally show up. You don't have to bring a sleeping bag. You don't have to bring anything other than your camera gear in your backpack. You wear your waders and your boots off the plane, and everything is there. You don't
That's
have to
amazing.
bring anything,
Yeah. That's amazing.
including all the solar charging and everything. But that, you know, these pictures right here, that's Clint and Cassie laying down, and Jackie. You know, that's a boar passing by.
Yeah. I think Clint might be on. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
Yeah.
One of our faves right there. No, the big thing is, you know, we've had, you know, this is year 9 for me next year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll be by the end of next year, I'll go over 15,000 hours on the ground there, which is just mind blowing to me because I'm like everybody else. I had a first float plane ride once, and I had my very first brown bear walk up and look me in the eye at 5 feet. So we've all been there. We all go through it. And the beauty for our team is we all know what we want everybody else to feel.
Yeah.
So to see everything go from where it was when I started out, with a ratty old 7D2 with 300,000 shutter fires on it, and you know, listening to everybody's shutters going to where we're
Yes.
at
Yes.
now, is it's incredible to watch and see. But the fact that Jackie and I get to do it side by side, you know, with the person you love is incredible. But
Yeah.
it all boils down to being able to share it with everybody. And as a team, I don't have to put words in their mouth because we all feel the same.
Yeah.
Our greatest joy is not just seeing people smiling in camp and getting the connection, but when we get to take them out that first day to their first few bears, and there's going to be people that are experienced photographers
Yeah.
that are going to really want something next level, and there's going to be people their first time. But when we know the bears to the level we do because of the year in, year out
Right.
role that we get with them.
Right.
We know what certain bears can give us. And
Right.
the biggest thing is patience, never pushing a bear, right? There's 1,000 things that go into it, but the big thing is we get to show everybody what's possible
Right.
if you go about it the right way.
Right.
My friend Greg in Kodiak years ago said Katmai, the best way to describe Katmai is it's nothing more than two beings with no ill intentions to each other, just enjoying the same space. And that's exactly what it is.
Wow.
Those
Yeah.
bears know, especially the sows,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those bears know us.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm getting my second crop of cubs graduated into third now, you know, and that's just crazy. So it's almost hard for all of us to not talk about it, smile and cry thinking about
Right.
next year. We have
Right.
all of these sows that we're waiting to have spring cubs, right? And when you've been with one and you know their mannerisms and how they treat everybody, it's
Mhm.
incredible.
Oh man. I think I've heard you say that you keep diaries of everything every day so that
Yeah.
you know the situations, the animals, what you've seen before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the weird thing is every year, right? I mean, your brain's a database and it's going to grow, and it doesn't matter who we talk about. You know, our friends, whether it's Drew, Brad, Josephs, the women of Katmai, this is huge to me, and a lot of men may not like this, but I don't care. I have more respect for three of the women that have more experience than anybody in Katmai by far, including Jackie and I put together and a bunch of other people. Jennifer Culbertson, her and Willie run Kodiak Air Service, right? Kodiak Expeditions. Joe Murphy, right? With Seahawk Air out of Kodiak, right? And our friend Jennifer Fogel Smith, she hates attention to her, but I'll tell you what, she's got more hours in that park than probably most anyone. And
yeah,
we have
unbelievable.
nothing but mad respect for those ladies and what they do.
Yeah.
And I assure you, they're way tougher than a lot of men we take. So I really need to make that clear, though, that I mean, they've played a role in shaping everything that we've done too. So I personally owe a ton to Dean Andrew. Dean's a really, really great guy. You know, he used to own, still owns Andrew Airways, but Dean is who basically gave me my start. And and the love for wildlife is there. But when you get to watch how people react or how they're touched, Jackie and I were talking about it today. We're never going to be the link that keeps somebody from seeing the most epic thing they're ever going to see in their life.
Wow, that's a great way to put it.
And if we have a chance to take somebody that, you know what, we're human. Not everybody's going to have the money right now, right?
Right.
We work with people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If somebody called today and said, guess what, they're stage 4 and they're probably not going to see next September.
Right.
We're going to take them.
To make it happen.
We're going to find a way.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see what we can do. So
it's amazing. I think, you know, you think about leadership, and many times people say a leadership is service, is serving, and that's what it sounds like.
No, 100%.
It's amazing.
We're the greatest joy we get is getting to see how our clients react.
Yeah.
I would rather go the entire year and never push the shutter myself and know that everybody that got on the plane has something that they're literally just clutching, that they'd want to get downloaded so bad that they can't get home.
Yeah. Well, Jackie, I would love for you to talk a little bit about what Scott just said. I had a question on there about, well, it's just been really important to me and rewarding to me to see how many women you all take, and that you celebrate them, you tag them, you name them. I can often feel invisible in this genre. It's very easy, I think, for women wildlife photographers to feel sort of invisible. But I saw you with women of all ages, and I just wondered if you wanted to comment on that. How important is that to you, and what was rewarding about that?
Oh yeah. I grew up with strong female women in my family. My mom, my aunt, my grandma, and you know, according to them, there was nothing I couldn't do. Like it just empowered me. And so initially when I moved to Alaska in 2009, I worked for a flight service.
Mhm.
And then in 2015 started a fly fishing company.
Yes.
And those are both, you know, pretty male dominated industries.
Mhm.
And it never, I don't know, I was always very,
Didn't occur to you.
yeah,
You couldn't do it.
yeah, it didn't. And it wasn't, you know, anything. And I was, you know, the only one in the office. And it just, it's really important for me to empower other women to believe in themselves and that they can do these things. And it's
Yes.
just, even if you take like the physical aspect out of what we do and out of camps, and just the emotional aspect, it can be very it's not just like being physically tough, but you have to be mentally tough too to, you know, be out there for the
Absolutely.
longest stretch this summer was out there 31 days
Oh, wow.
without a shower. So it's, you know, when you have women come out there and they're not sure if they can camp, or they're not sure how they're going to react with the bears, and then they have their first encounter and it's amazing, and they
Mhm.
you know
Mhm.
want the bears to come closer the next time, and it's so special to watch the transformation from when people, and especially women, first get there and till they get on the plane at the end. And
Yeah.
that you see them like start to believe in themselves and that like I can do this, and it's just like the most amazing thing. It's hard to talk about without crying, because
Yeah.
it's
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about that a lot after the season, just how special it was, especially the women and wildlife trips that we did at the end of August. There were a lot of ladies who, you know, were scared they would hold the group back and gonna, you know, not go on the day trips out to Katmai, and we're like, you
Mhm.
are going.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I love it.
then they did it, and it was just like the most beautiful thing that
It
we all
is
experienced.
beautiful. Yeah. Cassie, you were saying like women of all different ages and like how rewarding it was for you. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was so rewarding. The two groups that we had from the Women in Wildlife, and
Mhm.
Tracy Sepkovic led them and came
Yes.
out, and she's incredible. So shout out to Tracy.
Yeah, she'll be here
Absolutely the
next
best
month.
human.
Yes.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
amazing. I can't wait to talk to her next month. Yeah.
yeah, she's amazing. But she brought two groups out of women, and they just inspired me so much watching them, because those two groups were older in age, retired, and they've accomplished so much in their lives. It was
Right.
incredible hearing their personal stories, and but to see them at that stage in life coming and conquering things that are out of their, for some of them, out of their comfort zone. And just, it was so inspiring me to see. I just thought, when I'm at that stage in life, like, I want to be doing what they're doing. You know, they're not just like done with life, they are living it to the fullest and traveling the world and getting on seaplanes and going to see, bears in Katmai. Like, it was just incredible to watch these ladies, a lot of them my mom's age, and it inspired me. It was just incredible. And the camaraderie, none of these ladies knew each other outside of this group, and just the way that they all just loved each other so well. And we shared so many personal stories with each other. The camaraderie in those two women's groups it was just unbelievable. And I just felt like everyone just lifted each other up, and everyone, I think every lady that left there, including myself, we were just so inspired by each other. And I think Jackie and I, after that, were just so passionate about maybe creating more women's groups and stuff like that. I think Jackie and I have been talking a lot about that, and we have a huge heart to do more with just women's groups in general.
Yeah. I mean, it was really inspiring to me. I know when I went, I was very scared. Like, I'd never traveled alone like that. And certainly like never went into a group and like hiked with people I didn't know. And like, it was hard. So to know you're joining kind of a camaraderie, a family feel, and people that are going to serve you and want the best for you, that is icing. I mean, that's just the icing on the cake. Like, cause it's intimidating to take a trip like that.
It is so intimidating. And I mean, some of these ladies had bum knees, bum shoulders, you know, like
Right.
all of the stuff. And they are climbing in and out of the float plane and hiking, you know, all these miles per day. And I mean,
Yes.
they're not letting anything hold them back.
Yes.
They're
It's nice.
courageous women.
I'm sure it's nice to be seen and, you know, and recognize that you can do it. And it's something inside yourself too. You can build inside yourself. I can do this. I can do it again. Yeah. It was amazing. I loved watching those trips. You guys are so good at social media too. We can talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Josh, you have a motto. What is that? What is your motto again?
Mindfulness over photography.
Mindfulness over photography. Tell us what that means to you.
It is, it's just a little thing I use to constantly remind myself that, you know, the animal is the number one priority, and there are always good photo opportunities. And, you know, constantly being, you know, self-aware and just, you know, paying attention to the animal's behavior and making sure that, you know, you're not bothering the animal.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the animal is completely comfortable, and that the animal isn't doing anything that it wouldn't be doing if you weren't there. And,
Right.
you know, and that was something that I learned with my own, you know, experiences before I even, you know, knew these guys. And one thing that drew me to them, to everybody in the chat right now, is that you know, they all share that same belief. And I mean, every time we go out, you know, we'll have one of those moments where, you know, if it's Scott or Jackie or Cassie, somebody will be like, all right, let's move on to the next thing, you know. And you know, I'm so proud every time they make that call, you know. And it teaches, you know, the people we bring out, it teaches them, you know, good ethics. And it's good for the bears. It's just you know, that's it.
That's it. And this is your image, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes,
That's one
gorgeous.
of my from this past August.
You guys sent me so many gorgeous images. These are talented guides and photographers, everybody. So talented. And Scott, you really want to highlight the natural world and these bears, but you also talk about conservation and giving back, right?
Oh, 100%. So
Yeah.
one of the things we talk about, and I'm not going to go in a big circle about this, but the little imprint things that we see visually. Think of housing expansion in the greater Salt Lake area, right? They're building houses right out in towards Antelope Island, right into wetlands, and there's nothing being done about it, right?
Right.
One of the biggest success stories we have conservation wise in the US is when the Fish and Wildlife stopped expansion in Pinedale, Wyoming. They were going to build a brand new cul-de-sac and a brand new housing facility right in the middle of mule deer migration route, and they stopped it.
That's good.
Those things are visible, right?
Right.
The bears in Katmai and down the Aleutians, the caribou in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, all of these animals that are thousands of miles from our eyes,
right,
need our help just as much as those critters in Wyoming or in Utah, right? The biggest thing to us, it doesn't matter what it is, the images and the camps or the tours are a vehicle to help people really be aware of what's going on around them. We're not even going to talk about salmon decline. Not even going to start on that, right? That's never ending. We just got asked to be on a panel along with several of the other guide friends about the effects of the salmon decline on the watershed in Katmai and how it affects the bears. Anything that we can do to help draw positive attention to issues wildlife worldwide,
yeah,
that's great. But the biggest thing that we always want to tell everybody, it's not about hashtags. You can hashtag Full Curl Friday all you want, but unless you're active in the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Association or the National Bighorn Sheep Society or any one of the organizations you're passionate about, even if you donate a little, that's better than zero. And better yet, if you volunteered, that's even way better. But we need, collectively, everybody's got to think big picture about how we can't just give up. The world's not all bad. There's a lot of really good people, and there's still a lot of really good habitat left that needs protected. But the big one, like I say, those out of sight areas, whether it's the polar bears in Baffin Island or whatever, those out of sight critters, they need us, they need our voice more than we even know.
Right.
You know, and that's huge to us, right? To make sure that our nieces and nephews and everybody's kids and grandkids coming up behind us has something to believe in and something to see, because the thought of a world that doesn't have a protected place like Katmai or some of these refuges where those protections stay in place, just because something was designated a park doesn't mean that's the end of the paperwork.
Right.
And that's the thing that I think people get snowblind to, is it's got to be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
It has to. So at the end of the day, if we can inspire somebody to go, you know, instead of spending $100 or $500 on this, you know, instead of buying a new Escalade, I'm going to buy 2 models down and take the rest of that money and donate it to the food bank, and maybe spread it out in a few organizations that I believe in.
Right.
You know,
I just heard someone say that. I heard them say, you know, activism is not a post on Facebook.
right.
It's actually boots on the ground and volunteering, you know, moving your feet, you know, giving your dollars. And I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is to help share your passions, you know.
Right.
The biggest prison we have as photographers is not being able to go out and create. And the same thing when it comes to conservation, we can all have these grand ideas, but if we never do anything with them, or we don't help to inspire people, then they're just rocks in our head, right? We need to get rid of them. Yeah.
So true. I mean, I think after just seeing Alaska, I'm just appalled to hear anything bad happening to it, you know, and that's the same with going to any wild space. It's like, if you visit it, it becomes part of your heart and you want to fight for it. And some people can't visit that. So we have to use our photography to help other people see these beautiful wild spaces and wild creatures.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. I know that these bears and the creatures that you see bring a lot of joy and heartache. I did see that. Cassie, do you want to talk a little bit about how these bears can change people like forever? And you don't have to talk specifically. I know you had some really hard things this year.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did. The hardest thing, obviously, that I think our team had to experience, and some of our guests, was seeing one of the moms lose their cub this season.
Yeah.
Hardest thing to go through. And this picture that you've got up right now, it's maybe my personal favorite from this summer. I just love the precious look on this little cub's
so sweet
face, you know, like it's just so magical, like everything they're just discovering for the first time, even a stick. So, but yeah, you get so up close and personal with these moms and their little ones. And we spend every single day hours watching these moms just take care of their cubs and protect them and keep them safe. And for the first half of summer, you know, it was my first time over there for an entire summer, and a first for a lot of things for me. And I watched these moms with their cubs, and I watched how they could just never rest and could never take a break. And they're constantly looking around. And in my mind, you know, obviously I knew what they were doing, but I didn't really understand it until I watched Strawberry lose her cub that evening. And it was really hard. It was a hard evening to watch that unfold, but it taught me so much about these moms and what they endure. And I have so much more respect for them. And I learned so much from it. It was really hard to see, but I definitely learned a lot and opened my eyes a lot to what they go through. But it's incredible. It really is. These mama bears are just so special.
Yeah, they are. I'm more familiar with the Teton bears and the way that they mother, and you know, that's just changed me. I
Yeah.
saw I saw Blondie with her cubs in 2018, and I've never been the same. It's like, these
Yeah.
are amazing, amazing creatures.
Yeah, they're incredible. Each one just changes you every moment, every experience over there.
Yeah. Josh, I'm going to change the mood a little bit. So you don't have to give specifics, but do you have any funny things around camp?
Man, there is never,
Be careful what you say about Scott now.
there is
All right,
never,
I'm watching you.
there is never a dull moment in camp. There is always something going on. You know, even in the more like dull moments, like for instance, like we had 1.5 days out of the whole time I was out there this year where we got weather locked into our tents for a day.
Yeah.
And even during that time, like we were all in our main tent playing card games that I chose this card game that my fiance showed me, and unfortunately I just wasn't able to explain all the rules very well. So we ended up going in circles and playing like this offshoot of 31, and which is like the easiest game ever. I just explained it like trash. But and because we had like 10 people in the tent, it also took like it was like a 4-hour game. I mean, everybody was like, just waiting to lose so they could go back to their tent and would be better than playing my card game. But no, there was never a dull moment. So
It sounds like, so even if you have a weather day, Scott, someone ask in the chat, like, explain what that area looks like within the fence.
Okay, so camp is basically 50 by 60. It's a 5-wire bear fence. Like Jackie said, it's powered by a S20 Gallagher charger. So it's super hot, but it's solar power, 3-week battery backup. So even if it was cloudy and ran out of sun, it's just going to keep running. So it's 60 by 50. We have a 10-person gathering tent. All the food is kept separate. We have a bathroom tent. All of the sleeping tents are 3-person tents, so there's room for your pack, the sleeping bag, the air mattress, the pillows. All of that's provided, but basically a big rectangle, or depending on what each camp's going to offer, a little bit different spot, right? Our fishing bear camp is wide open to the wind, but everybody's is, so there's a lot more guy wires and things like that, where our coastal camps, there's less wind, they're a little more protected. But literally, we get you up at 6:30 or 7 and feed you, and everybody gets their gear, and then we're gone. And on real hot days, we might come back to camp and chill during the harsh light and the warm.
Right.
But by and large, we stay out literally from 7 to 10 to midnight, sometimes as late as 1 or 2. They're
nice.
super long days. You're rarely in the gathering tent, but the thing we tell everybody, and I always go back to this one quick story. In your 4 days, even if you get there at noon and leave at noon on the 4th day, you're going to shoot a minimum of 8 hours on the half days. So the half days are still longer than full days on a regular bear day.
Right.
But if you got a weather day, I always believe we throw good karma out, we stay positive. In 2 full years of camp, we've only stayed in the tent 2.5 days. That's it.
Oh, wow.
We're out all the time, regardless of the weather. We're out all the time, unless it's a hurricane, right?
Right.
So 2 years ago, we had one of those days. It was supposed to rain a couple inches. It rained almost 7 and 8 hours. It was unreal, right? So we stayed in the tent. We played cards. We laughed our butts off. Everybody had as good a time as you can in the tent.
Yeah.
And the whole day we just kept throwing out there. Tomorrow is going to be our wolf day, right? And we had a sow with 4 cubs that was just hanging by camp. And when the day trippers fly in at 9 or 10 and leave at 4, we have the rest of that time all to ourselves anyway.
Right.
But she was so conditioned that when the planes would come in, she would just leave wherever she was and come by camp anyway. So we literally had this sow with 4 cubs pretty much all to ourselves for almost a month. And this weather day, we're stuck in the tent, and all we kept saying is, tomorrow we're going to get a wolf interacting with mom and the 4 cubs. And that next morning came, and it was brutal cold, brutal cold. And we were out
I
in the
think
sun.
you said it was July too. I've heard that. I've heard you say that. Yeah.
This close to snowing, I mean, it was unreal. So I look at our group, and everybody's got tears in their eyes from the wind. It's freezing. And I said, we can take you over. It's a 1/4 mile. We can get behind the big rock ridge. We can get out of the wind, let everybody warm up, and then we can go back out. But if we do that, we blow our chance at Nat Geo, because we have mom and the 4 cubs right here. And if we want that wolf, we got to sit here. And they're like, no, we're staying. And about 5 minutes later, Jackie put her hand on my shoulder and she said, there's a wolf looking at us right there. And it walked out and gave us almost a half hour with mom and the 4 cubs.
Oh my, and that's on your website, isn't it? Isn't that picture? Okay, yeah, I did see that. That was amazing. I'm like, how in the world? It's magical.
And even if you don't see them, like this year, one of the coolest things we had in camp, and Cassie and Clint and a bunch of people on can attest, is we had 3 back-to-back nights with the pack of wolves less than 50 yards from camp, howling right on the ridge right behind camp. And then one morning at 4:30, they were howling so loud they woke everyone up.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. There's always, like Josh just said, there's always something like in your mind when you leave the tent, you're like, boy, I wonder what we're going to see today. And it never fails.
Something
it could
magic.
be in the first hour, or it could be walking back to camp. There's always going to be something that's just this wow moment that's better than what you saw. It's crazy. Like, even for me, this year being year 9, the amount that I've seen, when I think about adding all the other guide friends that we have, our friend Justin, who I respect big time, Brad Joseph, Drew, the ladies that I mentioned, there's a lot of really damn good guides that have worked in Katmai forever that speak bear, right? And bears know when you speak bear. It's cool to talk between everybody, but the thing that I always go to is, you think of the cool things that we've seen as a team.
Yeah.
One of my very first days with Josh, we rolled the dice to hope that we would get the wolves to come out exactly where I know they're going to come out. And they gave us the whole world right in the palm of our hand, right? You never know, but it happened. Those things, when you add up all those experiences, I can't even imagine what would it be we'd be talking about if we added the rest of those people in the room. I mean,
right. Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
And that just goes to show that if you're there and you're engaged, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
You're going, if you can get to camp, we're going to do everything we can to put you in the exact right spot.
Yeah. And that's what's amazing to me, is you're not gatekeeping it.
No,
you're sharing it.
Well, and it's a national park with paid fees, just like anywhere else, Yellowstone, Grand Teton. So the beauty is we all have that opportunity. Yeah. As taxpayers, every one of us has that opportunity to go there. It's our park. And that's something that people forget, right? Yeah.
Someone's asking me any wolf photos. I don't have any wolf photos ready to screen share, but I know that if you go to the website right now, after this, you'll see it. Like, I think it's right on the front. The wolf staring right at the mom with her 4 cubs. It's a gorgeous picture. It's just amazing. And you're sharing that, like you said, with whoever can get there, and you want to share that. It's amazing.
Absolutely. So before, the one thing that I would say, and I definitely want everybody to get their chance, the one thing that I want to make sure I say tonight, I say it every single time: bear viewing is not about bears, it's about the people. The thing that bears do, though, when we're all in the moment with a bear, whether it's passing by at 10 feet or 30 yards or wherever they're at, right? Bears make everybody the same. It doesn't matter what age, race, religion, sex, political belief, all that goes out the window, because when a brown bear or a grizzly bear is walking straight up to you to have an interaction, guess what? We're all the same.
That's right. Yeah. Very true. And that's what our national parks are supposed to do, and what these wild spaces can do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, if you have questions for Scott, Jackie, Cassie, or Josh, go ahead and put them in the question and answer box. I see we have 2 right now. If you could put them there, I can see them better than in the chat. That would help. And Scott and Cassie and Josh and Jackie are all going to share where you can find them after this. I see people asking, so they're going to share at the end where. So stick with me, and they're going to share where you can find them and their websites, Instagram, and everything. So I'm going to go to question and answer, and then we'll do speed round real quick. But question, Let's see. Oh, someone asked, this is Kelton Johnson. 3-step process to get as cool as you guys.
Love you, Kelton.
Hasn't he gone with you?
Yes.
Kelton was our giveaway winner last
That's what
year.
I thought. It's
Yeah.
K-Max, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what I thought. How amazing was that? That was so cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah. And then Carl Gandolfo asked, have you ever had a serious situation with a bear where you felt genuinely threatened? And how do you provide safety for your clients out in the field? Scott, do you want to answer that?
Absolutely. So the answer to that is an easy no. Here's why, right? We owe it to our clients, number one, but I guarantee you, I spend, when Cassie's talking about the amount of time we spend off season, from the time I've been 15 years old, hunting and fishing with my dad, to solo hunting in Montana, to coming to Alaska, and definitely getting all these hours, accumulated in Katmai. The one thing that I do is I go through constantly every single situation mentally that you could possibly ever face. So even if we do face it, it's never going to be a shock. The biggest thing we have is what's between our ears. When you understand their language, they know it, they treat you different, but that also means we have to be prepared if things were to go south, right? That night that the boar killed the cub that Cassie was talking about, right? We were by the mom and the cubs about 40 yards away. She was just grazing peacefully and he came over the hill, right? So it's a situation where we're sitting static. I could reference several of our guide friends with the Park Service to believe that is still the best method, right? If you sit there like a tree, you're not hurting anything. They understand that, right? We're reading the bear constantly, right? If they shift their legs in a certain way, if I ever think that there's anything that may look like there would be a bluff, in my whole entire time in Katmai, I've only had one young boar do it, and it was displaced aggression, which always happens when a bigger bear, right, pushes them off a small, right?
Yeah.
So out of almost 13,000 hours, only one time,
It's amazing.
and I've never drawn my spray, except this year I did grab it one time, just watching the bear, but I wasn't going to use it. So we have spray in the field, right? So the way our groups work for photographers, if we have a group of 4 or 6 or 7, however many people are in camp, we're always going to have you in a line so everybody can shoot down past each other, but we're going to steer the line, right? We can kind of steer which way the bear's going, but we steer the line, and the people on each end, so the guides on each end always have bear spray, right? We do not let the clients have their own bear spray. That induces a really bad mix, right?
Yeah.
We do not carry live firearms. Two reasons.
I was gonna ask you to say that.
Yep. Number one, we can't use them in the park anyway.
Oh,
you cannot discharge a firearm in the park. So that's one reason. 2, any seasoned bear guide you talk to, when it comes to, and I say bear guide, bear viewing, right? Because we do not agree on the other way, right? Any bear view guide you talk to believes the exact same thing, right? It's going to induce something into a situation. If there's a elevated stress and you add a gun to the mix, I always point to 2 of the cases in Montana in the last 5 years with a fatality. 2 of those fatalities were from the friend trying to shoot the bear and shooting their friend, right? So we're never going to have live ammo in camp. We do carry what's called a Burna. It shoots tear gas rounds. Some people do whistle. What we're armed with out in the field, we have multiple in reaches, we have a sap phone, and we have the bear spray. But the best thing we have is what's between our ears. We have thousands of hours with those bears. That doesn't mean that some can't happen, they're wild, but we have all the means, if something did happen, to get a hold of somebody. But I always want to point out to everybody, and you can go Google this as soon as we're off, bear viewing is one of the safest things you can possibly do. You can go look up all of the other instances. Jackie made a reel about it, right? You have a better chance of dying falling out of bed than you do even having an issue with a bear. Now we're going to the park. We have way more interaction. We're going to have a heightened risk, right? Or per se.
Yeah.
Since 1988 in bear viewing, Treadwell and Amy do not count. That was not bear viewing,
Right,
right?
right. They're the only two, right?
Right. There's been 3 leg swipes in Katmai,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But no fatalities, right?
Right.
Everything you do, I really encourage everybody. Every guide's going to have a different style. Ultimately, we all want the same thing. We want you guys to have the best time possible, right? The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that we have, and it's a realization of what we do. We talk about it a little bit, not a lot, but we do talk about it. We have to be prepared to pay the ultimate price if we had to, right?
Mm-hmm.
The best thing we're armed with, though, is the knowledge we have for the bears.
Yeah.
We do everything we can 24/7 so that by the time we hit the season, all of our clients know what flights they have to be on, when they're getting there, where they're going, what they need to do. And the second they get to camp, it shouldn't be about, oh my gosh, I need to get my stuff put away and organized. No, we're like, give us your bags, there's your stuff, let's go. You know? The goal is to have you get as much time with the bears as you possibly can. The other thing too that needs to be maybe thrown into that, and I'll finish, is the other thing we can do is we keep you out of situations. If there's 2 boars that don't like each other,
Right.
we're not going to take the group and go get in the middle of that.
Right.
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 We're going to stay off of that. But knowing how the bears react to other bears is huge.
Yeah. And you've got diaries and experience and other people talking about it where, I'm not going in that area today.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's also part of the park service, right? So
Right.
not only does a permit require us to keep track of all of the people that we bring in, right, and pay our fees, but
Right.
if there ever is an issue with a bear, we need to reach out, and that's the park's instrumental in that. So,
Right. Right. And I want to make sure everyone heard you just say that you're permitted and insured, because I know that's really important.
doubly insured. Yeah.
Doubly insured. Yeah. Yeah. Jackie, you guys don't just do these Alaska tours though. Do you guys you have other things you do or in the bookend seasons? So you would tell everyone about that?
Yeah, so we offer muskox tours, and I mean muskox are just
Coolest.
the coolest.
Yeah. I saw one at the Anchorage Wildlife. I think it's the Anchorage. I don't remember what it was called. They're all fenced in. It was not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I at least got to see one and a baby one, and they were so beautiful. I've been wanting to see one. So that's so cool that you do that.
Yeah, so we do one at the end of May for the new babies specifically.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they're all being born. So like this past year, we had one born right next to our hotel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like the snow pushes them all closer to town, and
Yeah.
Being around people, they have more protection from like the wolves and bears.
Mm-hmm.
So
it makes
they
sense.
have their calves right in town, and they're just so cute. And
they are.
Yeah, and then in the fall, the colors of the tundra are just rainbow colored and incredible. So we offer 2 trips in September for those.
That's nice. And then Northern Lights sometimes. Do you have some when you get to see those?
Yeah, we're still kind of in the process of putting that together, but it's definitely something a lot of people want to see.
Yeah, that is this year it's just been spectacular. So I even saw them in Indiana. That's crazy. And then the wolves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit longer, right?
Yeah. 6 day 5 night.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one will be in a different part of the park than our bear camp. But just after all of the interactions that we've had with the wolves, it was something that a lot of people requested. So this year, it's full this year. So
but maybe next year.
Yeah, 2026. Yeah,
it's crazy.
And we may add a second location for that. So
yeah. And I think I've heard you say before, Scott, that you just need more patience for that one. A little bit more patience.
You have to have more patience, and it's a different thing. So they're going to be way more active in the twilight hours. So instead of getting everybody up at 6:30 or 7 and staying out mostly all day, we're going to do what wolves do. We're going to go out super early. Yeah. And we'll come in mid to late morning and stay in camp till about 6 or 7. and then
Yeah.
go back out again right till pitch black, because they're going to be on the fringes, and there are times where they'll be out right in broad daylight, but it is a different camp, and it's a different patience level.
Yeah.
We're gonna put you in situations where we know where they travel, and it's going to be, sub 20 footers when they come moving through. So you're going to get chances to get them coming right down the barrel with a 400 to 870
Yeah.
to 200, where I know like Clint this year, Jackie and Cassie were actually cleaning up camp and taking camp down, and we took the group out that morning,
Yeah.
and we didn't even walk 200 yards from camp and had a wolf right there.
Oh,
But
wow.
it was 350 yards away, or 300 yards, where the wolf camp is dedicated to put you exactly where they're going to be traveling. And
Cool.
there'll still be bears around, but
yeah,
we're going to ignore the bears for the most part.
I only saw wolf tracks around the humpback whale carcass. I didn't get to see them because, of course, we were there in the day. So
Yeah.
but it was like you just kept kind of looking around, hoping, just
Yes.
hoping.
Yes. Yeah, they're really cool to see for sure.
Okay, Melissa Mead says, how does one get on the cancellation list for fishing camps? Asking for a friend, wink, wink.
Well, you can message us on Instagram or email, either way. So this info@scottsstonephotography.com
Yep.
or the scottstonephoto@gmail.com. But Instagram, message Jackie or I, Cassie or Josh, it'll all get to the same spot. As of right now, and my bride will always correct me, but I think we actually have a couple available spots. So.
Okay. You can hear that, Melissa. Okay, Paul Shockley asked, are you on a river during the viewing?
So yes, in both locations. So even for wolves, there'll be a river involved too, but June and July, yes. We cross 2 to 3 times a day. Mostly we try and keep it below your knees. We do everything we can to. Very rarely would it be mid-thigh. That's part of what we're armed with. We know the tides and exactly where to take you. A lot of new guides don't, and that's
Josh and I texted about that earlier.
That's one of the luxuries of the experience, right? I mean, we've literally been there so much. But so yes, in those June and July camps, when they're grazing, clamming, and starting to fish later July, it's in the sedges, out on the beach, in the surf, plus the river, where the fishing camp is specifically in the rivers.
Yeah. And I think you said that the activity level goes up when that weather cools down.
Yes. Always. Yep. So bears are fair weather, like Jackie and I. We don't like much over 60. And
that's why you guys are so far north.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody's like, you guys going to Cabo for the no, we're never gonna go anywhere warm, right? Bears, when it gets above 58.
Wow.
Most bear views, and this is what happens to a lot of people when they come to Alaska, is they'll fly over for a day view, and you get to midday, it's already warmed up, and the bears like to lay by the river.
Oh yes, that's what I had.
Yes. Where if you're there early morning and then evening, Cassie and Josh can both attest, and anybody in the comments that's been to camp with us, from about 7 o'clock in the evening till 2 in the morning, it's like somebody flips a switch, and it's the most beautiful place on earth.
So cool.
Bears in there. It's pretty cool.
Oh man, that is so cool. Josh, what's the coolest thing you've seen? What's the coolest thing you saw this summer? Like when that switch flipped, what was cool out there?
Yeah. Coolest thing we saw.
I put you on the spot.
There was a bluff that we were able to get up on top of this year. Where we were able to look down at the river. And it was just a different perspective than that we were used to.
Yeah.
And being able to look down and really get a clear picture of every single fish.
Wow.
And watch those bears go up and down the river. And I mean, the photos were great.
That's cool. I remember you guys sharing that in your stories. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, the view from up there was just, unbelievable though. The landscape is breathtaking. Just every time you go out there, it's just sensory overload is the best way to describe it.
That is so cool. I see lots of people in the comments saying things, and let me ask, I think I have Carl asks, how are the mosquitoes? How are the skeeters? What you expect, right?
No,
They weren't bad.
yeah,
They
Oh.
are bad. They're not bad.
no.
Yeah.
I didn't
They
find
were
it to
fine.
be as bad as what everyone said, and I thought wearing the mosquito thing over my head was much worse.
Yeah.
I could
There, there's always a constant breeze depending on the location, and at the second location, it's not a breeze, it's kind of like a 20-mile-an-hour constant. So unless there's like a really warm day, like 65 plus, where the
Yeah.
winds might die midday, there's hardly ever any bugs. Like I would say in the last 2 years, we've maybe had like 2 days where you actually notice them.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what everyone talks about before you go is like mosquitoes. And I
But
don't want to put all that stuff on my body and my clothes and
right.
yeah. Oh, okay. So we are going to do the speed round. If you still have questions, put them in the Q&A, and then I hope you guys, did you guys see the Q&A? Did you see the speed round questions? We'll try to go fast. We're over an hour and I don't want to keep you guys too long since I said like an hour, hour and 20. So speed round, you can answer fast. Cassie, we'll go with you first. What's in your camera bag you can't do without?
Okay, everything, but oh man, I would say lots of batteries, lots of cards. But probably the thing in a pinch is just having a cleaning kit, because especially when we're at camp and we're out there in all sorts of weather and stuff, there's been a lot of times where I've had to clean my sensor or clean the lens, because that's the last thing you want, is having those epic moments and it's messed up because you're something's dirty. So having that in a pinch is really great.
Yeah. And you're a Nikon shooter, right?
Yes.
Got
Yes.
that. Yeah. And Scott and Jackie, you guys are Canon.
Yep.
Yeah, so am I. Josh, what are you?
I'm Canon.
You're Canon? Okay. Most
Outnumbered.
people I shoot around are Nikon, and I always feel so outnumbered. So
We
yeah.
did have one camp where the whole camp was Nikon. It was pretty amazing.
Wow.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I finally wasn't outnumbered.
Okay, Josh, what's something in your camera bag you cannot do without?
I cannot do without. Well, I guess my 1 to 5 now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scott gave
Nice.
me his old 1
Nice.
to 5. So
Yeah.
I can wear it with me now.
Yeah. That's a really versatile lens for out there.
Oh, yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
range.
Yeah, that's good. Jackie, what about you?
I think bear.
Exactly.
That's a good answer.
We live on bear in the summer. Our backs and shoulders are ready to
Oh
break
my
off,
goodness.
and
I'm
yeah, you're just
sure.
passing out bear to everybody.
I'm sure. Yeah. Oh man. I think I'm still, even though this is crazy, I think I still have bruises on my ankles from July from the men's boots I had to wear. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's if the boots don't fit, that's
Yeah, they were cutting into my
awful.
ankles, all those hikes. Yeah, it was bad. Scott, what about you? What's in your camera bag you can't do without?
Oh boy, that's a hard one.
I know.
You know, 70 to 200 is like my favorite, because that's what the sharpest everything we always get is, right? But
Yeah.
I have a monopod that I use to help people get across rivers and things like that. But the most important thing in my backpack is a necklace that I bought for my wife about 6 years ago when we weren't together, that I just took everywhere with me, and hope that someday she'd come to her senses, and she finally did. So that necklace goes everywhere with me. So
Oh, that is nice. That is really good. That's really good. So what's in your camera bag, or maybe in your office or something, Scott, that you never use?
oh boy.
That you think I shouldn't have spent money on that?
So I always end up carrying, 2 of everything in camp. So I have 2 bodies and all these lenses that I don't need. And by the end of camp, I leave all of my wide angles and stuff and whatnot. But boy, I love macro and landscape maybe more than anything. Astro and Northern Lights, right?
Yeah.
So those are like off season. We would drive 10,000 miles to shoot one frame of the Milky Way. That's how much we love it, right?
Right.
So during the season, all of those lenses and stuff stay, but the biggest thing that absolutely I don't care about when we leave, and it's something we're going to in 25 and 26 because of weight. We're not letting people bring their laptops anymore.
Okay.
It's only cards for a reason. Number one, their battery drains big time, and they're just added weight.
Yeah.
And since I've left mine and I don't worry about downloading,
Yes.
I think that I enjoy it more.
Yeah.
When you don't have the ability to pull it off and look at it, other than on your viewfinder, I think I don't know. I think it makes it just sticks with you a little bit different. But.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is heavy. It is heavy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Jackie, is there anything in your bag or your office or that you can do without? You spent the money, but you don't need it.
Yeah. I mean, we have every like gadget, and
Yeah.
we just like we bought this Insta 360 and had every intention of using it.
It looks so good in the box.
It is still in the box, but we like took the whole entire box to camp and never even like opened it, and just
Is that what you hold up and it takes the picture around? Or? Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I have a friend locally who has that. Yeah. And it's just a once in a while kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh, what about you? What is something you bought you can do without it?
I feel like I tote around so much extra garbage that
he does.
I never use. Yeah, I was also guilty of not catching the no laptop memo this year. And bringing my laptop.
Or 50 pounds, he brought 90.
All right.
No.
Yeah, I brought a little extra, you know. It's
a little.
Good to be over prepared than under prepared. And also I forgot the laptop was in my bag for like the first 3 days.
And you
like,
carried it around?
Oh yeah. Yeah, just for the help.
Cassie, what about you?
Oh my gosh. I think I don't have anything. I feel like I use everything in my bag. If I have extra of something in my bag that I don't need, it's always because I'm worried I'm going to get cold or something. And so I've put too many layers in my bag that I'm carrying around. But I don't have a lot of extra little gadgets or anything. It's just my buddies, my lenses, and I keep it pretty simple. It's usually the case of forgetting to put something I really want in my bag. But yeah,
that's good. You've edited it down. You've got what you need.
Yes.
That's good. I think I over prepare and then have stuff I don't need. Yeah. So we can go fast. Favorite snack when you're sitting in the tent or editing? Josh, what's your favorite snack?
Cassie and I were laughing about this earlier. Well, mine's shifted now because I just started making my own jerky, which is
wow, yeah.
And my fiance just started making her own sourdough.
Oh, cool.
So these are my new two favorite snacks. But before that, it was like something lame, like a granola bar or something.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Cassie,
what about you? Do you have a favorite snack, Cassie?
Oh, I didn't hear you say it.
That's okay.
Yeah, I usually get made fun of for having too many snacks in my bag.
So I think Clint says, have you seen the size of Cassie's bag?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did get made fun of because I had the biggest bag in the but no, I love, we had some really amazing trail mix that just was a good mix of like M&Ms and peanuts and raisins. That was probably my favorite at bear camp, but I'm a huge sweet eater. So I love Snicker bars, M&Ms, and just snacks in general. I'm usually overpacking of the snacks.
If you're walking that much, you can eat that.
Yeah.
Jackie, what about you? Favorite snack?
Oh, in general, probably like trail mix, but in bear camp, we ended up getting pretty sick of the meals that we were eating. So we started having guests bring Fritos.
Yeah, how could I forget?
And Sour Patch Kids. So we were all sugared and detoxed now.
That sounds good. Scott, what about you?
Cholula sauce, Jackie. You can't forget that.
That's right. You know, I think for me, it would boil down to a really good cup of coffee on those mornings. Sometimes when it feels like it's about ready to snow out there.
Yeah.
Like all of the stuff they're talking about. We try to have a mix of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think if I had to, it's not a snack, but coffee would probably be my
Yeah.
favorite thing.
There's
Because
something about the ritual of that.
yeah, and yeah, some of the biggest problems in the world are solved over a cup of coffee with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
thing Cassie and I make the best coffee.
Yeah.
Nice.
You don't fit in that equation.
Whoa.
Cassie does, you know.
I've heard otherwise, my friend.
You're greenhorn.
Someone's asking in the chat, do you ever use a wide angle lens on the trip? I would assume you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So some of the fishing bear camp pictures, if you look in their wide angle of the salmon run that we hit, just perfect, like literally perfect. But there's a lot of times where even in the June and July camps, given the situation, you could get some really beautiful wide angle stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And someone asked, how do you charge the batteries? I assume it's the solar.
Yep. So not only do we have, so we have 4,000 watts of Goal Zero is what we've had in the past. We're going to up that to 6,000 in each camp. But this really cool thing, and we'll put a link in here sometime for everybody.
Yeah.
Called the Shine 2.0. And it's a company that was started by two young ladies from Alberta.
Okay.
Their folks farmed right under a wind farm. And when they were in grade school, they thought, we should do something with this. So we have the original one, but the new one that they just came out with is called the Shine 2.0. It's the size of a thermos.
Okay.
It's all inclusive. It has the blades, it has the tent stakes and everything. The new one is taller and it can output 75 watts an hour. So it can charge the solar batteries too. So even if there's no sun, but there's wind, you're still charging all the time. But we go to camp fully charged, and we only need about a day and a half of sun to charge a full 14-day cycle. So we have Starlink and Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's nice.
And we regulate that a bit. So that's another safety tool, right? We can talk to the flight services, anybody.
Yeah.
So we have Starlink. Anybody that's in camp for a half hour, 45 minutes in the mornings and the evenings, you can check Instagram, Facebook, email somebody.
Yeah.
You could send a text if you had to.
Yeah.
Josh had to stay in camp one time and use the Wi-Fi calling to get a hold of people.
Yeah.
We've Wi-Fi called. The Park Service called us in camp.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. That's
we've
good
got
to know.
that as an option. So
yeah, I think you're saying some really important things. You're saying bathroom tent.
Yes.
Starlink.
Yes. And we provide all the wipes for the bathroom tent. So
what'd you say? Go ahead, say that again.
We provide all the wipes too.
That's great. Okay, we talked a little bit about what makes you cry and what has made you laugh. So let's do the last one. And I think we've touched on this too, but it's a good thing to end on. What has touched your soul out there? Cassie, do you have a thing that touched your soul most or fed you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, but there's one that just stands out above and beyond any of the others. And it was my first few days there in the park, and there is a bear there called Bella, who Scott and Jackie know very well. And Scott has spent years with Bella, and we were out and Bella was mating with another boar, and they were just kind of grazing right in front of us, very comfortable. And we're just sitting there watching. And the thing that Scott does that's really amazing is he'll talk out loud as he's reading the behavior so that all of us kind of know what's going on. And I think the guests really like that when he's talking about what's going on. And so he had kind of let us know Bella, sometimes likes to come, say hi or interact a little bit more than other bears do. And he knew by watching her behavior that she was going to come around and come closer and kind of check us out. And, there's not many bears that, I don't know, Scott can attest to it, that he would be comfortable with, but he knows Bella so well since she was very young, and he's very comfortable with her, knows her very well. And, we had just had a couple of really rough days. It was our first clients who had been reined in over in Kodiak and all of this. And it's like what Scott was talking about earlier, how just we had one of the greatest days of the entire summer, and two clients couldn't have deserved it more than these two clients, because they had been so kind and so patient being socked in Kodiak. and we go out, and how we talked about, you might have one amazing thing happen. They had one amazing thing after another all day long. And one of them was Bella, and she just came around and she literally took a really wide and came right in front of me and just stood there and just looked straight into my soul. And she was, you know, some people might think being that close is just really frightening or scary, and it wasn't at all. It was just, her mood was very loving and kind, and it moved me to tears, and it touched my soul, and it just impacted me like no other experience. And we have incredible experiences, but that one I'll never ever forget. And I love her. She's one of my favorite bears over there.
Sure, you have to now.
And it was special too, because the other, Lori and Michelle, the other two incredible women that were there, were right next to me. So they had the exact same experience as me. And it made me so happy for them to get that same thing.
I think Lori's on here tonight. I think I saw her.
Yeah. Hey, Lori. Yeah, those
so
women are
sweet.
incredible. We love
so
Lori. And
yeah, and
that
stays with you forever.
It stays with you forever. And I have that picture actually, you know, blown up, and it's very special memory and moment.
Yeah. Josh, how about you? What feeds you out there? What feeds your soul out there besides everything?
Well, you know, I have so many amazing, you know, stories and moments from camp.
Yeah.
But, you know, one, I would say the most fulfilling moment for me in my photography career was proposing to my fiance this fall out in Denali National Park. We were out there with some doll sheep in the high stuff, and just the colors were absolutely insane. And you know, I got my fiance all set up with her own camera and her backpack and everything. And so she's amazing though. She's totally adopted all of my crazy hobbies. And you know, it was so amazing to watch her fall in love with it for the first time, like we all did, you know. And you know, in the midst of it, you know, we have doll sheep right on our front doorstep, and you know, and to share that moment with her was
so cool.
Really amazing.
So cool. I love it. Well, congratulations too. That's really fun. So that means you guys have all these years together to see the world.
She's gonna get some good photos.
Yeah,
you know.
that is so fun. Jackie, how about you? Moments out there that you can just can you pinpoint one?
I mean, just the whole experience in general. It's like a lot of us are conditioned to, you know, fear bears worldwide. And just like, I grew up in Wisconsin, and we have black bears, and you know, you're supposed to be afraid of them, and everyone thinks, you know, we're crazy. And if you like look at it as a whole, it just seems like it should be impossible. And then you know, have these bears that are so special to you, and they just like let you into their world, and it like gives you permission to, you know, watch their babies grow up. And the first time, you know, a mom walks up to you with spring cubs, and it's just amazing.
Amazing.
Like one of our, outside of Bella, the other mom that we just love is Daisy, and she was the one with the cubs that had the stick. And they were just, we had so many incredible moments with her this year. And it just, you know, she wouldn't even be near them. She would just leave the cubs with us and go graze off. And it just, it's so special.
That's what I was going to say. It's like she trusts you all as like babysitters. I think in that picture, Cassie, I can see her in the back, way back. Yeah. I think that's the mom. Yeah. That's so cool.
She was right there in that moment. And like Jackie said, she had gone into the woods to take a nap with them. And there was nobody out there with us but us. And she could have gone anywhere when she came out of the tree line. And we had just been sitting for an hour maybe. And she literally came straight over with them and brought them just within feet of us. And then she wanted to go and eat. And it's like she could feel comfortable and safe that they were right next to us. And it moves you to tears.
Absolutely. I was going to say, it's like you all get to pull back that veil and see all that magic and the trust that these animals and wild creatures are giving you. It's just amazing. Yeah. Scott, what about you? I mean, you've got years of
There's not
experience.
enough time.
There's not enough time.
There's not enough time. There's a lot.
Yeah.
The night that Cassie's talking about with Michelle and Lori,
Yeah.
with Belle, that's textbook Belle. Our friend Rachel, a year ago with Belle, she could have used like something good, right? And every once in a while you just need something good to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we left camp the very first night when she was there with us, when I closed the gate, I said, I need you to dial it up tonight, God. I need you to have Belle give us something big time for Rachel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we walked about a half mile from camp, and her cubs were on the other side of the river. And we just sat down on the river's edge for about not even 5 minutes. And she walked straight over with the cubs and just walked straight up to Rachel just to look into her soul a little bit and then left. But the effect that it has on people. I've got to take a dying man from Nebraska to Geographic Harbor in 2019. His nephews flew him up. They didn't know if he'd make it or not. And we didn't know if we could get him in the plane. It was super, super emotional, super hard.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find a bear. It was really late September. And they called and they said, would you do it? And we have a gray area. About September 20th is when we stopped. And this was the 22nd. And I said, I'm not going to be the person that doesn't let this happen, right?
Right.
So we taxied with the plane looking for bears even and stuff. We finally found one. And when we got him out of the plane, there's this huge, rise in anticipation that this bear's going to come see us. And she turned and she walked about 400 yards the other way. And we thought she was gone. And we had like 15 minutes left or so before we had to get headed back. And that one, I said, hey, if you're listening, big guy, I
was going to say, that's when you're begging. You're praying. Your
This
prayers
guy's going to come see you soon. So,
yeah.
And she, like somebody flipped a switch, turned around, and she walked the entire way back, walked right across the creek, and she stood maybe 5 feet right in front of us, and she looked square into that guy for at least 2 full minutes. And they exchanged whatever they exchanged, and she turned around and she left like a ghost. And he died 3 days after they got back to Nebraska.
Oh my
I could go on and on and on about all these. One of my favorite memories from this year by far. Obviously, I get to do everything with my wife, so we get to relive all these things, right? But I believe it was Clint's last night in camp, or maybe one of the last few nights. And we had worked over to go say hi to Daisy and the twins late in the evening, and we're sitting there, and they're out in front of us about 50, 60 yards, and they're kind of moving in and out. And we go sit down, and one of Bella's emancipated cubs was about 150 yards over to our left, just walked right over and laid down right next to Clint, like 6 feet away. And within the Katmai approach rules, that's one thing a lot of people I know at home are going to want to know, right?
Right.
So it's the 50 yards, right? You can only approach 250. If the bear moves on outside that, once the bear moves within the 50, then it's up to your guide to keep you safe. But 99% of the time, even at fishing camp, even if you approach to 50, they're going to walk right past you, whether it's on the shoreline or out in the middle of the field. I equate the grazing camps. You literally picture yourself sitting in the middle of a football field, and the bears just move right around you all day long.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. But
Yeah.
the memories. I've got to fly into the volcano several times and land it.
Oh wow, that's cool.
I got to take my 76-year-old mother on a bear view that I never thought would happen.
Yeah.
The stuff that Jackie and I've shared has just been ridiculous.
Yeah. It's amazing. And the trips that we see on social media, and the joy that you guys provide and the beauty that you guys see is just incredible. It's evident. And I thank you so much for sharing that with us, and continue to do that, because I live in Indiana. Like, I'm living through you. So like a lot of us are.
We greatly appreciate you having us. We appreciate you inviting us.
Yeah.
Another thing that we want, obviously, everybody can feel their energy. It's super important to us to let everybody know how much we love Josh and Cassie, no matter how much fun of Josh we make. They're as much family as anybody.
Yeah,
But they're world changers, those two. So, and we couldn't do this without them. So,
it's amazing.
And I make good coffee.
no, you don't.
Well, I'd like all of you to tell us where people can find you, and just I want them to be able to go on your tours, follow you on social media, buy prints if they want to. So, Scott, where can everyone find you? And Jackie.
So Jackie and I are easy. If you go to either one of our pages, so she's AK Real Girl on Instagram. I'm @stone_images. My one email is scottstonephoto@gmail.com. Our business one though is info@scottstonphotography.com.
Yes.
And then our Scottstone Facebook page is a blend of what we see. It's not all bear heavy like Instagram. Obviously, we're fairly bear heavy.
Yeah.
You can message us on Instagram anytime. If you don't hear back from us, send us an email, because it probably means that it went to spam or something like that. A writer might be in the request and we didn't see it. We are very religious and methodical about getting back to everyone. We do everything we possibly can, including this year we may have a fifth and a sixth wheel helping us behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So that when the four of us are super busy, we've got somebody that can take care of that behind the
That's
scenes.
what I was going to say. You're out in the field a lot too.
Yeah, but that's the go-to, and the site has all the information. If anybody had any questions, not just on the tour, but you could go click on anyone under tour and book now. It's going to take you to the bear camps or the wolf camp, whichever, or the muskox. But on the resources tabs on the site, it's got all sorts of information about camp, Kodiak, what you could do. We help you. So it's not just bear camp. If you're coming to Alaska, we expect everybody's going to try and, piggyback the trip and make the most of it.
Right.
We try to help you, whether it's Kodiak, if somebody wants to go fishing in Homer Valdez, Cooper Landing, wants to go to Denali. Between the four of us, we know a lot about Alaska, and we can help you in any way you can think of.
Yeah, and it's overwhelming for people down here to know all that, like if you're going. So that's really, really helpful. You have a frequently asked questions section. I think there's some packing things too. So
yes, yeah,
it's really good. And I'll include this in the show description whenever this is all posted so that everyone can see that. And then Cassie, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm on social media on Instagram and Facebook. It's just Cassie Noel Photography.
Okay.
And then I'm working on a website right now. It should be launching by the beginning of the new year, and it'll just be CassieNoel.com. And email is hello@CassieNoel.com.
That's great. That's great. Josh, how about you?
Real simple. I'm just on Instagram, Wild Watchtower. I'm working on making a website right now.
That's nice. That's nice.
But yeah, and then my email, if you need to reach out to me, is CapeCodMarketing10@gmail.com.
Don't forget that 10.
Not forget the 10.
Do not forget the 10. And Scott, what's next? So December.
Oh boy.
Next in December. And what's next? What's the next big thing for?
Well, we're on our, there's not really an off season.
Yeah.
I was just doing permit paperwork before we got on here.
Right.
So we do offer permits also for Gates of the Arctic and Kobuk Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to branch out. We have a lot of active talks going right now, but a lot of women tours.
Yes.
We're going to be bringing some Northern Lights tours, both Alaska, Iceland, possibly Montana. I know, like Jackie's like, what? No, Iceland will be in the mix. Costa Rica. Yeah. Those are some mainstays. We still do some trips with Nat Geo sister company, G Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
We may do some of those, but as a company, definitely going to branch out in Iceland and Costa Rica, possibly Japan.
Oh, wow.
We have a super special film project that hopefully next week we get to dot some I's and cross some T's.
Oh, nice.
That's a 3-year commitment.
That's amazing.
Super special that our team could even be part of something like that.
Yeah.
And we will let everybody know what that is once we can.
Right.
Right now, we still can't,
Right.
but as soon as that's signed, we will do that. But we're enjoying some time in the holidays. We're looking for owls right now in Minnesota. We're on our way
Fun.
to
Yes.
Wisconsin.
Yes. Yes.
When we get home to Montana, same thing, lots of owls. We have
Yep.
a snow coach tour with Doug and Erica, who are in camp with us.
Yes.
In July, yeah, we've got a snow coach tour with them in Yellowstone. We don't do warm. We're gonna go say hi to some friends in Hawaii real briefly, and then we do what we do best. Jackie and I are gonna put 15 or 20,000 miles on and drive all over the Western US, and
Yep.
that's just be gone. That's what we
Yep.
do.
Well, hopefully we'll all run into each other in person sometime.
We will make it happen.
I look forward to that. I really do. I so appreciate you all coming. I've been wanting to meet you, and it's just been a great discussion. I hope people learned a lot. I know they did. So I just appreciate you all so much. And it's just a good way to do it. You're doing it the right way. And I love it.
No,
Yeah.
we appreciate that. And anybody in the chat, if there's a question that didn't get answered
Yeah.
or whatever, message us anytime. We talk bears and Alaska all the time.
Well, thank you all so much. And I just want to remind everybody that Tracy Zepkovic will be on, and I'm sure she's going to talk more about this. That's December 17th. And so watch for those registrations. You can watch for registration links at my Instagram at Jen L. Ritchie or at Wildlife Conversations Podcast. You can watch it on YouTube. You can listen on Apple and Spotify. And I've also created a little link to my favorite things. I'm doing this all by myself and no sponsor and just bare bones. So I created a little link to my favorite things that I'll link. And if you'd like to support the podcast a little bit, you can. And then the next thing I think is Steve Mathis on the December 15th. And I'm heading to the Tetons soon too. So I'm excited. Thank you so much, Josh, Cassie, Jackie, and Scott. I so appreciate it. And I hope we see each other out in the field. I really appreciate you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.